You ever get hit with something so quietly cruel that it doesn't even feel like real life? It doesn't come crashing through your front door or screaming down the phone line. It just slips in, wearing the face of someone you trusted. That's how it started for me. My name's Mark Reyes. I'm 36 years old, HVAC systems supervisor for a mid-sized commercial outfit in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Blue collar, middle income, raised on hard work and leftover coffee. I'm the guy who fixes your building's climate control in the middle of a snowstorm while you sit inside wondering why the air feels off. I don't complain. I clock in. I do the work. My life wasn't glamorous, but it was stable, structured, predictable. I'd been engaged to Hannah Decker for just under a year. She was 30, worked at a local nutrition clinic that helped low-income families with meal planning and education. Soft-spoken, smart. She made homemade granola and read books about emotional growth. The kind of woman who left sticky notes on my dashboard with things like, "You're doing better than you think." She had the kind of warmth people wrote about in old country songs. We were planning a small October wedding. Rustic venue. String lights. A friend of hers was going to play acoustic guitar while we exchanged vows. It was supposed to feel simple. Real. At least, that's what I thought. Then there was my younger brother, Derek Reyes. 29. Personal trainer. Built like a men's health cover model and never let anyone forget it. He ran a private coaching brand online, Reyes Method or something dumb like that. Mostly Instagram thirst traps and videos of him yelling motivational cliches at people doing lunges. Our mom, Rosa, absolutely worshipped the ground he walked on. She used to be a nurse, but these days she was semi-retired and ran a Facebook group about spiritual alignment and radical honesty, which, translated, meant she gave unsolicited advice and stirred up family drama under the guise of healing energy. Rosa had a way of twisting the knife while smiling. She'd top off someone's coffee and say, "Mark's dependable, just like his father. Quiet, steady, maybe too steady. You ever think of trying something exciting for once?" She said those things in front of Hannah. More than once. At first, Hannah laughed it off. "Your mom's a character," she'd say. But I saw the way her eyes drifted when Rosa talked. Like she was absorbing the suggestions more than she let on. I never really liked having them in the same room, to be honest. Hannah used to be this grounded, emotionally clear person. But slowly, she got harder to read. Her phone stayed face down more often. She started stepping out to call a friend back, or check in with a coworker. No names. No details. Just space. Growing between us like rot behind drywall. I told myself I was imagining things. That Rosa was just being Rosa, and Hannah was just stressed about the wedding. But then came that Sunday dinner. It was at Rosa's house. She made some kind of overcooked roast and put too much sage in everything, like always. Derek showed up late, fresh from a workout, still glistening like he'd been dipped in coconut oil. Mom beamed when he walked in. Then she looked at Hannah and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "You ever just look at those arms? I mean, damn. That's what real discipline looks like." Hannah laughed. A little too hard. I sat there, gripping my fork, pretending the mashed potatoes were the reason my stomach turned. Later that night, I asked her, "Is it me, or does my mom have a weird obsession with Derek?" She shrugged. "Your mom likes to get reactions. She's harmless." But the truth is, she wasn't harmless. And neither was what was happening between Hannah and Derek. The cracks widened fast after that. Less touch, less eye contact. Conversations that felt like rehearsals instead of connection. The way she smiled at her phone, like it was telling her something better than I ever could. Then came the Thursday. I'd wrapped up a site inspection early on a warehouse unit outside Clark Summit. Since Hannah had told me she'd be at Rose's going over some last-minute wedding details, I figured I'd swing by. Maybe grab dinner after. I pulled up and saw Hannah's car already there. As I walked up the porch, I caught a sound I wasn't supposed to hear. The window by the living room was open, just a crack. And through it, I heard her voice. "I know Mark's a good man," she said softly. "But sometimes it just feels like I'm waiting for him to see me again." My chest went still. Then came my mother's voice. Calm. Encouraging. Fucking poisonous. "You and Derek have energy. Chemistry. That kind of spark doesn't lie." There was a pause. Then Hannah, even softer, said, "He understands me in a way Mark just doesn't." I didn't walk in right away. I stood there, on that porch, listening to the woman I thought would be my wife rationalize her feelings for my brother, and hearing my mother cheerlead it. When I finally did step inside, Rosa looked up like she was expecting me. Derek was nowhere in sight. Hannah turned pale, like the blood had been vacuumed out of her. I didn't yell. I didn't flip a table or throw a punch. All I said was, "How long?" Neither answered. So I looked straight at Hannah and said, "Show me your phone." She didn't move. Her silence said enough. I left. Walked right back out of that house. Didn't slam the door. Didn't give them the satisfaction of watching me crack. They lit the fuse. I'd be the one to burn it all down. I didn't sleep that night. I laid in our bed, the one Hannah and I had picked out together from a cheap furniture store with high hopes and low funds, staring at the ceiling fan. It spun like a clock counting down to something I couldn't name. My body felt heavy, not from exhaustion, from betrayal, from restraint, from clarity. Somewhere down the hall, in the guest room we'd planned to turn into a nursery someday, Hannah cried. Not for me. Maybe not even for Derek. Just out of sheer panic that the illusion had shattered. I didn't get up. I didn't go to her. Let her sit in the mess she helped make. By sunrise, I'd packed a duffel bag. Just the basics: work clothes, boots, tools, my spare laptop. I left her a note on the kitchen table. Handwritten. "You made your choice. Don't contact me unless it's about returning the ring." That was it. 3 days passed before the silence broke. It wasn't Hannah who reached out. It was Derek. A text. "Let's talk, bro. You don't know the full story." Bullshit. I didn't respond. I didn't want excuses. I wanted answers. Truth. Patterns. Leverage. So I made a call to someone I hadn't spoken to in nearly 2 years, Raymond Moss, an ex-client I once did HVAC work for on a commercial project in Wilkes-Barre. Quiet guy. Paid on time. Ran a little private investigations business for small-time fraud and cheating cases. He'd helped me years ago when a supplier tried to stiff my company on bad inventory. I remembered he said, "If you ever need dirt dug up discreetly, I owe you." So I called in that favor. I told him, look into Derek, his fitness business, his clients, social media, finances, whatever's public or close to it. Don't leave prints. Ray was direct. "You expecting infidelity or something bigger?" "Both," I said. While Ray went to work, I did something harder. I went to see my dad. Antonio Reyes, the original silent man in our family. Ex-Army mechanic turned forklift trainer at a steel plant. We didn't talk much unless something broke or needed fixing. He didn't do hugs. He didn't do pep talks. But he never lied. I found him sitting on his back porch with a beer, watching 2 squirrels chase each other like idiots across the fence. He didn't look at me when I walked up. Just said, I heard. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "Are you okay?" Just, "I heard." I sat beside him and stared at the yard. Same swing set I played on 30 years ago. Rusted now. "You let Mom do this," I said. "You just watched her poison the family. You knew how she talked about Derek, how she talked to Hannah. You knew." He didn't flinch. "She's strong-willed." "No," I snapped. "She's manipulative." And this time, she didn't just cross a line. She bulldozed it. He took a long sip. "You gonna sit here angry, or you gonna do something?" "I'm not staying down," I said. "Not this time." He finally looked at me. Really looked. "Good," he said. "About damn time." That week, Hannah officially moved out. I came home to silence. Drawers open. A few half-empty boxes stacked near the front door. She took her books, her plants, the painting we bought in Rehoboth on a weekend trip. She didn't leave a note. Just a text. "I'm sorry you had to find out like that." I didn't reply. Not because I didn't have things to say, but because I refused to offer her a damn inch of absolution. Instead, I turned that pain into fuel. I printed out bank statements from our shared account. Went through credit card charges line by line. Found charges I didn't recognize: boutique gym equipment, fancy meals from restaurants I never stepped foot in, online orders from a fitness apparel site Derek had been promoting. My name was still on those cards. My credit helped open those accounts. I started documenting everything. Ray called me 2 days later. "You were right," he said. I stayed quiet, letting him fill the silence. Derek's brand is a smoke show. The supplement line he promotes? He's not licensed to sell half of it in Pennsylvania. He's sourcing from shady third-party distributors who've already been fined in other states. No quality control. No testing. I clenched my jaw. What else? He's also got some civil complaints filed against him. At least 2 women, former clients, claim he made them sign NDAs after they accused him of using private session time to push extra services. One hinted at sexual misconduct, but she hasn't gone public. Ray paused. And get this, Your mother helped him file for a business loan last year using falsified income reports. She co-signed. I let that sit, like acid in my stomach. She's tied to it? I asked. Financially and legally, Ray confirmed. If that brand goes down, she goes with it. I ended the call and sat in silence for a long time, just listening to the hum of the refrigerator. They hadn't just betrayed me emotionally. They'd leveraged me, my trust, my credit, my silence, to build a fantasy life on a rotten foundation. That was the moment it all crystallized. This wasn't going to be about hurting them. It was going to be about exposing them, piece by piece, layer by layer, not in a fit of rage, but with strategy, with proof. If they thought I was just the quiet, dependable brother who'd take the hit and move on, they were about to find out what a steady man does when he stops holding the line. Revenge isn't rage, not when it's done right. It's silence, patience, precision. While Hannah cried in borrowed rooms and Derek flexed on Instagram like nothing had happened, I was collecting facts like ammunition. I worked my shifts, kept my head down, ate lunch in the van, and every spare second, I was building my file. Ray kept feeding me intel, client complaints, screenshots, a full breakdown of Derek's fake supplement operation, expired products repackaged and rebranded, warehouse rented under a shell name, no business insurance, no regulatory filings. He was running it all on the edge of legality, and Rosa was deep in it. She helped file the LLC paperwork. She vouched for his finances and loan applications. She'd even written fake online reviews for him under burner accounts that Ray traced back to her home IP. They weren't just morally bankrupt. They were legally vulnerable. And I was going to bury them with their own paperwork. Meanwhile, I leveled up at work. A senior tech left our team, and I stepped in without hesitation. Ran diagnostics on a 5-building contract, handled a pissed-off developer, and stayed late every night until the system was stabilized. My boss called me into his office, handed me a raise and a key card to one of the company vans. You're the only one I trust to fix it without excuses, he said. I nodded. I'm done making excuses for people. That promotion wasn't a win. It was a signal that I wasn't crumbling, that I wasn't like them. Of course, Rosa didn't see it that way. She called me one evening, voice dripping with faux concern. You're isolating yourself, Mijo. Family is forgiveness. I stared out my apartment window, watching a delivery truck back into a tight alley without flinching. You chose your side before the war even started, I said. Hope it was worth it. You're being dramatic, she snapped. They have chemistry. You and Hannah weren't meant to last. You're too cold. Too fixed. I hung up. She texted 5 minutes later. You've always needed to control things. Maybe that's why she drifted. I didn't respond. I didn't need to, because the next part was already in motion. Ray's latest report came in the next morning. Derek's website traffic was up, but not for the reasons he thought. One of his old clients, a local college student named Jess Kramer, had posted a warning on a fitness Reddit thread. She bought a tub of his protein mix. It made her violently sick. She had a lab friend test it. The results showed bacterial contamination and expired ingredients. She didn't know the scope, but I did. I contacted her anonymously, sent over Ray's data, suggested she file a formal complaint with the State Department of Health, included links, dates, screenshots, everything she needed. Within 48 hours, 3 more complaints surfaced from women in nearby counties. One had screenshots of Derek dodging refund requests. Another mentioned unmarked supplements that smelled off. All of them tagged his business on social media. I stayed in the background, just watching. Then I turned my focus to Rosa. Ray had found something interesting in her real estate career. Her 5-star reviews were a mirage. He traced dozens back to a handful of fake accounts, identical writing style, reused names, some even listed properties that never sold. I compiled it all into a neat little folder. Included her IP logs, the sock puppet reviews, the listings with inflated sale prices. Then I sent an anonymous complaint to the Pennsylvania Real Estate Commission. I CC'd a local real estate blog known for exposing dirty brokers. 2 days later, Rosa's name was pulled from a top agents in the region list she'd bragged about every Thanksgiving since 2016. She didn't know I was behind it. Not yet. Then, out of nowhere, a Hannah showed up at my door. Not a text. Not a warning. Just a knock and that face. Different. Smaller somehow. Like she'd been deflated. No makeup. Hoodie. Hair tied back like it didn't matter anymore. I didn't speak. Just stepped aside and let her in. She stood in my living room like she didn't recognize it. Like she didn't recognize me. I heard about Derek, she said. I nodded. And your mom? Is it true? I said nothing. Just watched her shift her weight like she couldn't hold her own guilt. I didn't know it was that bad, she whispered. No, I said. You didn't care to know. She flinched. He looked safe. Like fun. I folded my arms. He looked shiny. I looked stable. You made your choice. Her eyes glossed. It wasn't about flash. It was about not being bored. I cut in. About chasing some dumb idea of passion. About thinking I was too calm, too grounded. You wanted fire. I was a foundation. She sank into a chair. I miss what we had. No, I said. You miss what I gave you. You miss the feeling of being held up when you weren't strong enough to stand alone. That's not love. That's gravity. She cried. Quiet, trembling. I didn't reach for her. I didn't soften. Because her tears weren't mine to fix anymore. She left without asking for forgiveness. And I didn't feel triumph. I felt focus. Because there was more work to do. The thing about people like Derek and Rosa, they don't stop until someone forces them to. And I wasn't going to stop until the world saw them the way I now did. Not as ambitious, passionate, free spirits, but as what they really were, users. Leeching off people who built things with real effort. So I kept digging. Ray found out that Derek's so-called warehouse was just a leased garage space behind an abandoned strip mall outside of Dixon City. He'd been storing tubs of product in unsealed boxes. No labeling system. No temperature control. No safety protocols. We got photos. Sent them, anonymously, of course, to the State Department of Health and the FDA field office. They responded. Within a week, an inspector showed up. Derek posted a cryptic story on Instagram later that night. Haters always try to take down the strong. But we rise. He didn't rise. His online store was taken offline pending investigation. PayPal froze his business account. The gym he partnered with? Dropped him without a word. One of their trainers posted, "We don't tolerate shady health risks," on his own page the next day. I wasn't done. Ray helped me set up a burner email, posing as a fitness journalist. We reached out to 3 of Derek's overseas supplement suppliers. Got them talking on WhatsApp. They bragged about how they helped small brands relabel expired stock, and how Derek was one of their best clients. We recorded it. Captured screen grabs. Transcripts. Payment histories. All of it got packaged and sent to the IRS fraud division, along with evidence of unreported income, shell purchases, and fake write-offs. I didn't need to embellish anything. His greed wrote its own obituary. Meanwhile, Rosa's world was starting to shake. That real estate board complaint I filed turned into an audit. They flagged 7 deals in the last year for irregularities. A local housing group caught wind. They posted a blog titled, "The Truth Behind Scranton's Most Spiritual Realtor." Included screenshots of her fake reviews, contradictory sale prices, and questionable co-listings with unlicensed contractors, one of whom had pending fraud charges. Her brokerage, Valley Crest Realty, suspended her license pending review. I watched it unfold with cold satisfaction. Not rage. Not gloating. Just balance. They spent years building illusions. I was just holding up the mirror. Then, a girl named Amber, a front desk worker at the gym Derek used to train clients from, messaged the burner account. They're fighting. Loud. She threw a glass at him last week. He's sleeping in his car some nights. She meant Hannah. Good. They deserved each other's chaos. I had no doubt she'd eventually see Derek for who he was, arrogant, shallow, panicked when things stopped going his way. But I didn't care about their drama anymore. I wasn't tracking it for closure. I was tracking it for impact. One rainy night, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I know it's you. You're ruining my life. Is this who you are now? I stared at it, then typed a reply. When you steal someone's future, don't be shocked when they take yours with them. No response after that. But a few days later, Cassidy Lee, a mid-level YouTuber who made content about fitness scams and influencer fraud, posted a new video. The fraud behind Rhea's method, what they don't want you to know. It hit 100K views in 2 days. She didn't name me, but she linked every piece of proof Rhea and I had leaked, the photos, the audio, the court filings, the screenshots of expired supplements, the rebranded packaging, even the posts from clients who got sick. The comments exploded. Dude is a straight-up sociopath. The mom encouraged the fiancé to cheat? Wild. This is like a documentary waiting to happen. Shout out to whoever took these clowns down. That last one? I saved it. Then something happened that caught me off guard. My father called. Not a text. Not a missed call I'd find hours later. A real call. Ringing. Buzzing. Persistent. I answered, cautious. He didn't waste time. I left your mother, he said. I sat down. What? I moved out. Signed papers. Got an apartment downtown. Small. Quiet. I didn't speak. My chest tightened, not from pain, just surprise. Why now? I asked. He took a breath. Because for the first time in my life, I saw someone actually stand up to her. And I realized I never had. I stood still. You walked away. That took more courage than I've ever shown. We talked for over an hour. About life. Work. Even baseball. When the call ended, I didn't feel broken anymore. I felt whole. A few days later, I was at a job site when Mara, one of the project engineers I'd worked with a few times, asked me to grab coffee after work. We talked shop at first, AC controls, airflow inconsistencies, but slowly it turned personal. She didn't ask about my past. Just listened when I hinted at it. She liked whiskey. She hated social media. And she didn't care about appearances. I don't trust people who post their entire life online, she said. If it's real, you don't need applause for it. She wasn't trying to fix me. She didn't treat me like a project. She just showed up, present, calm, grounded. We didn't label it. We didn't rush it. Some nights we texted. Some nights we didn't. And somehow, in all that stillness, I started feeling like myself again. Not the man Hannah left. Not the brother Derek betrayed. Just Mark. On his own terms. 3 months passed. And just like that, the empire Derek and Rosa built out of smoke and self-delusion was nothing but rubble. Derek's business account? Frozen. His brand's website redirected to a blank error page. The Reyes method was officially under investigation by both the State Attorney General's office and the Department of Health. The gym he used to brag about training at had replaced him with a quiet guy named Tony who didn't post shirtless selfies and just, helped people. One of Derek's ex-clients started a GoFundMe to help cover her medical bills after getting sick from one of his expired protein tubs. In the comments, a thread of others adding their own horror stories. Cassidy Lee, the YouTuber, dropped a second video. This one even bigger. The Reyes fraud. More victims speak out. Nearly 1 million views in 2 weeks. Derek tried damage control. Tried the mental health break angle. Posted a black screen with the caption, "I've been betrayed by people close to me. Pray for healing." But the internet doesn't pray for frauds. They bury them. The comments weren't kind. "Dude, you lied. Sit down. This the guy who stole his brother's fiancée? Nah, man. You burned you. Where's the refund for that spoiled pre-workout, champ?" He deleted the post. Then his entire account just vanished. As for Rosa, she tried pivoting. First, she started posting vague quotes about toxic family members who can't handle your light. Then she launched a side hustle as a real estate wellness consultant. Whatever the hell that meant. Didn't matter. Nobody bit. Her brokerage firm quietly severed ties. Her license was suspended pending an investigation. The Facebook group she used to dominate turned on her. And Hannah? She stayed quiet. No more Instagram stories of green smoothies and sunrise journaling. No shared selfies with Derek. Just silence. Until one day, out of nowhere, I got an email. Subject line: "I need to say this. I almost didn't open it. But I did. Mark. I know I don't deserve your time. But I owe you this. I was weak. I let myself be led. Rosa whispered poison about you until it sounded like truth. Said you were distant. Cold. Said you'd be like your dad. That you'd disappear on me. She said Derek saw me. That he made me feel alive. I believed her because it was easier than admitting I was bored, not unloved. The truth is, you were always there. You were steady. You were building something. And I didn't recognize the value in that until I saw what real instability looks like. Derek isn't a partner. He's a performance. And when the lights go out, there's nothing underneath. I'm not asking for a second chance. I just want you to know. I see it now. What I lost. What I gave up. What you gave me that I didn't understand until it was gone. Thank you for loving me when I didn't deserve it. I hope you find someone who does. I read it once. Then again. Then deleted it. Because closure isn't an email. It's not a late apology or a rewrite of the past. Closure is standing still in your own life and realizing you're finally quiet inside. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hollow. I was done. The week after that email, Derek filed for bankruptcy. Public records showed it. All assets frozen. Lawsuits pending. He was living in a rented room above a mechanic's garage 2 towns over. No gym. No brand. No audience. Rosa? Word was she moved in with an old friend in the Poconos. Some whispered she was thinking about changing her last name to rebrand. No one cared. And me? I moved too. Into a newer apartment across town with high windows and better light. Build a little home office where I could sketch out side projects and manage vendor contracts. Mara helped me paint the walls. No pressure. No labels. She never once asked about Hannah. But when I talked, she listened. Some nights we watched movies. Some nights we didn't talk at all. She didn't need to fill the silence. She respected it. We took weekend drives out to Lake Wallenpaupack or through old coal towns nobody remembered. Once, while watching the sunset, she said, "You don't look tired anymore." And she was right. I didn't. One evening, sitting out on the little balcony we'd strung some old lights across, Mara asked me, "If you could go back, undo all of it, would you?" I didn't even have to think. "No," I said, "because I never would have found this version of myself." She nodded, sipped her whiskey, and said something I'll never forget. "You didn't get bitter. You got better. That's rare." The final move? It wasn't revenge. It was exposure. I compiled every piece of proof Ray had collected. Every screenshot. Every testimonial. Photos of Derek's sketchy warehouse. Fake client messages. Rosa's sock puppet reviews. The audio of her encouraging Hannah to follow the fire. I dumped it into a Google Drive folder. Labeled it. "This is what happens when you betray blood." I didn't post it myself. I sent it to Cassidy Lee and let the truth take care of the rest. 600,000 views. 1.2 million. National articles about the trainer who built his brand on lies. Reddit threads. Podcast interviews. Public apologies from companies who once sponsored him. No one knew my name. And that was the best part. Because this story wasn't about me anymore. It was about the truth winning. About knowing I didn't need a spotlight. I just needed peace. 6 months later, I was leading a major commercial HVAC project across the state. Promotions. New contacts. Contractors who respected me because I never flinched. Mara and I took a trip to the coast. Rented a little cottage. Ate cheap seafood and walked in the rain without saying much. She never tried to define us. And I never needed her to. One night, we sat by the fire, and I told her. I didn't want revenge. She looked at me, quiet. "I think you wanted dignity," she said. "And you took it back." I'd been quiet a long time. But in that moment, I realized something. I didn't need closure. I didn't need them to hurt. I just needed to stop bleeding. And I had. Final words. They thought I'd break. But I didn't. I bent. I burned. And then I rebuilt. Quieter. Stronger. Mine.